What Facebook needs to do is decentralize the curation. Facebook is never going to win, them being able to figure out free speech. The government has clearly, at least for the time being, decided to not get involved in this. Instead, how can you enable different groups, different organizations to help do this curation that Facebook is trying to do on its own?
You have this here from the New York Post. Facebook's fact checkers are the real fake news after censoring the Post story. With Facebook, it's about regulating the content on Facebook. Now, I'll give Facebook credit in the sense that they aren't creating their own content. But where they're getting into trouble is the curation of that content. And I think ultimately what Facebook needs to do is decentralize the curation of what you see in your Facebook feed, right? They've tried to take this on where they say, we are going to curate your newsfeed. We, Facebook, we have the algorithms, we have the human manpower to comply with these rules, and we are going to combat fake news. Facebook has taken that responsibility on themselves. They're spending billions of dollars to roll this whole thing out, and they're just never going to be able to do it correctly. There's always going to be issues with this. And so I think the solution here, and I'm going to provide examples about how the solution could work as we look at 3 different examples of how this is becoming a problem with Facebook. The solution is to open this up and platformize it. So all of these news media groups, whether it's the New York Post, we have another example from Politico, and then our third example is from Reuters. Every media organization is getting killed. Their revenues have fallen off a cliff. They're struggling to survive. They basically don't really have a good business model anymore. So what everyone is trying to figure out is this fake news thing. How do I trust this? The problem with news and figuring out what's real or what's fake is there's a lot of opinion involved in that, right? There's a lot of, not all news is so objective. Not everything is black and white. There's a big subjective nature to news and information. And so it's very hard to thread that needle correctly. So they should platformize this, right? Where I could subscribe to my own filter, to my own curator on Facebook, for example, right? Where I could subscribe to either the New York Post or the Politico or the Reuters curated feed of information for me. Now, this is not all articles written by the New York Post or Politico or Reuters, but you basically have fact-checking news organizations that are going to go in and be able to help the reader have a sense of trust in saying, hey, is this information real? Is it not? And the reader can now put that faith and that trust into the news media organizations that they have been reading or they like to read that content, right? And we found that a lot of media organizations kind of have their own political slant, even if they try to say that they don't. Each one of them kind of has their own political slant. So if you could just say, hey, I want to subscribe to the Reuters or the New York Post kind of fact-checking service, fake news checking service, Facebook could still have its own fact-checking fake news service, but you could basically kind of layer these things in and you could pay. It's a service, right? It takes a lot of time to go and read these articles, to maybe say, hey, a lot of this article is true, but this fact here we're not really sure about. And you could help the reader kind of have that second opinion while reading through popular articles. That's my concept here. And basically, so the New York Post is saying, hey, we wrote an article. Yeah, the Post ran an opinion piece saying that we couldn't trust China's story about the origins of coronavirus. He argued that the virus might have jumped to the human population thanks to errors at a Chinese laboratory in Wuhan rather than via that city's now notorious web market. The piece was widely read until Facebook stepped in. The social media giant's fact checkers decided that this was not a valid opinion. If you tried to share this article on Facebook, the social network stuck a false information alert on top, saying that the finding was checked by independent fact checkers and preventing your friends from clicking to connect to the original article to see for themselves. Obviously, this also is going to be crammed down much farther in Facebook's recommending algorithm, right? So if the fact checkers are saying it's fake news, the algorithm isn't going to promote it as heavily. That's I think a pretty obvious given. So you have this problem, right? Then you have this issue from Politico, where coronavirus protests test Facebook's free speech pledges. And basically, there are protests going around the country in the United States with people that are protesting outside in their cars, or some of them standing and hopefully social distancing. So the company, Facebook, has taken steps so far blocking protesters from using Facebook to organize in-person rallies in California, New Jersey, and Nebraska, but not in other places such as Michigan, Texas, and Virginia. Facebook's partial takedowns were still enough to bring a political pushback, right? It's taking the post down. If you're saying, hey, we're going to go do a rally, we're going to go protest, shelter in place, and we took down these posts, but then they didn't take it down in all the places, and they're just in a constant free speech predicament. And the free speech predicament continues, which is now to Vietnam. And Facebook has actually confirmed that they did this. So Facebook's local servers in Vietnam were taken offline early this year, slowing local traffic to a crawl until it agreed to significantly increase the censorship of anti-state posts for local users. So they had the telecom companies basically block Facebook. The restrictions were carried out by state-owned telecom companies. They knocked the servers offline for around 7 weeks, meaning what Facebook was kind of rendered gone for 7 weeks in Vietnam. In an email statement, Facebook confirmed that it had reluctantly complied with the government's requests to restrict access to content, which it has deemed to be illegal. This is the Vietnamese government deeming this content to be illegal, and Facebook wasn't taking it down. Basically, look, Facebook is never going to win this free speech, them being able to figure out free speech. The government has clearly, at least for the time being, decided to not get involved in this. And I think, again, by Facebook trying to act as this curator in chief, what they're doing is they're actually kind of going against a lot of their own ethos. Instead, how can you enable different groups, different organizations to help do this curation that Facebook is trying to do on its own, and let people rally around those organizations, these kind of entities? And then what Facebook can do is they can put rules and regulations in about what these entities need to do and how they need to operate themselves. And that's going to be a much better role for Facebook to, as kind of like a federation where they can oversee these third parties that are then helping to do the curation. But clearly, Facebook isn't able to do this. And then when Facebook does do it and the Vietnamese government doesn't like it, then they capitulate. I mean, there's so many problems with the position that Facebook has where they're trying to control all of this themselves that I don't think they need to do it this way. And it's clearly not working. It's annoying their users. And it's, there's just a better way that they can do this in I would say, a more open way, as opposed to them having to do this all themselves. It's annoying that the consumers and the producers, and now government entities that, that don't like this, which is a very precarious position for Facebook to be in. You would hope the US government would be much more proactive, to support Facebook abroad, like in this case with Vietnam, but also to provide guidance in the United States about, again, how they should be balancing this kind of constant battle that they have with free speech. Hi, this is Alex from Winner Take All. Thanks for joining us. Hope you enjoyed the content. Feel free to leave a comment, ask us questions, and definitely make sure to join us on our next live stream.